Hello, Dennis. Wasn't ignoring you. Can you hear me?
Hola. No, okay. I was just listening.
Understood. Hello, friends and brothers. Welcome to tonight's live broadcast. How's everybody?
Bueno.
Bueno. That means good to our non-native friends here.
Oh yeah, for everybody that's not South Texas.
It's not South Texas or just.
That's bueno. Bueno. It actually sounds bueno, not bueno.
I say mucho to all my Hispanic friends. It means a lot to them.
Mucho.
Oh my God. Really?
Oh,
We're not even 30 seconds into the broadcast, and you're already throwing out dad jokes.
Hey, I handle the bad jokes on this show. Hey, watch yourself. Alright, well, the theme for tonight is the ideal Masonic Lodge. And the reason that, me and Dennis talked about this earlier, well, we texted. The reason we came to this topic was that, good job, Brad. But the reason we came to that topic was because we spent the better part of 4 years, Dennis and I, and then I guess 8 when it's just, the 4 before that when I was just doing it by myself. But we spent a long time talking about individual components of what makes a good lodge, individual best practices. But we never really took like a 1,000-foot view and say, hey, what would a lodge look like that is implementing most or all of these practices? Like, why are each of these, a lodge is the sum of the whole, right? It's the sum of all of its components. And the success of a lodge is the sum of all of its practices. And so I really wanted to drive home tonight, like we talk about doing this and why we should wait this long and why this needs to be happening this way, but we never really talk about what that should look like or why they play off each other to make this ideal lodge. So me and Dennis texted back and forth a little bit ago, and I told him, hey, start thinking about that. Kind of let us know
what if we and not to harp on any lodges or any practices. This is what have you seen work well.
Yeah.
This is going to be a positive discussion, not a bashing of lodges. This is going to be a positive discussion of what have you seen work well, and to add it to the repertoire of somebody's arsenal of the perfect lodge.
Yeah, and that's really important because we don't want it to be it's easy to nitpick about negative things, and that's what we want to avoid. We don't want it to be just like, well, this lodge sucks because the roof's falling in and they don't have this. They don't have this. We need to do it this way. Or it's not that. It's not bashing. It's not trying to make. It's just, what are the positive things that you have seen, or what are the positive things that you have implemented that we talked about, and I mean. Like I said,
would be even better. Has anyone implemented any of the things that we've discussed on our show and seen the results,
or have seen it implemented,
or have seen it the way that we've said and thought that it really did actually play out as nicely as what we said?
Yeah, because
that would be cool.
Because recognizing what's best practice is one thing. Getting it actually implemented in your lodge, that's a huge step. But sometimes you've just seen it somewhere else and you know that it's successful, but you hadn't necessarily got it into practice at your lodge.
Yeah, and it can be difficult because it is a change for some Masons that, frankly, not everybody joined in the same era that we did, and Freemasonry was a different animal or animal club resemblance, years back. And so, we understand that it's difficult to implement these kinds of thoughts and this type of culture. But what have you actually seen that works? And maybe some of the guys that are watching, some of the brothers that are watching, can be inspired by that. Because I personally, that's why I enjoy this show, is it inspires me. And so I hope that we can be an inspiration to others to help them to invoke. Let's not use the big C word, but maybe, yeah, not that C word.
I thought you go say the I word, so the whole C word threw me
We'll
off.
call it the metamorphosis.
The metamorphosis. Okay.
Golly. Where your mind went quick. I saw that startled look.
Yeah. I'd like to start off, if that's okay, just to kind of set the tone, set the pace.
Go for it.
I was talking to a brother pretty recently, and it's not one of my lodges. Well, it was my lodge several years ago when I lived in the area, and I moved off, so I moved my membership. But still really good relationships with all of them. They're good friends of mine. And they're having an issue not too long ago where they didn't really have a strong line. And the senior warden at the time, he reached out to me. He's like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do as far as the worship master or like when he goes into the East, he didn't really know what to do with the rest of the lineup because the next year would have been good, but after that they had nobody. And I was like, you just need to get with your lodge and discuss the possibility of maybe doing like a 2 or 3 year term, because just moving when you have, you're just gonna start recycling people that probably don't want to be recycled. So what's the benefit to that? And they had a conversation, and for a country lodge, they're very forward thinking. When they hear an idea that they like, they really run with it. And I say that for a country lodge because a lot of country lodges are not very. They're not very. They're pretty stuck in their ways.
You don't like the C word or the M word.
Yes, exactly. And so they did it. They agreed to at least do like a 2 year holdover, and he reached out to me because it was the second year. He's like, man, you are absolutely right. I'm telling you, like the first year, you're just learning the ropes as a worship master. And really, honestly, for any position, you're still just learning the ropes. You're fine-tuning. You should already know your work, but you're fine-tuning the work. But you're also getting a hang for how that position works. And he was like, the second year, I could just lead at that point. It was just about leadership. I knew the ropes. You're still fine-tuning what you know, but you actually get to enjoy it at that point. And so that's a big thing. We don't really harp on it a lot, but we have talked about it on the show, is slowing down the process. And that's just one of many ways. That's for you, Cody. That's for you, Cody. But that's just one of many ways of slowing down the process, is that there's no benefit when you stand up to introduce past masters and everybody stands up because they're all past masters. It kind of loses its significance. So when you slow it down, give time people actually a chance to lead.
Everyone getting a golden trowel.
Yes, exactly.
If your lodge is full of golden trowels, then what's the significance?
Yeah. So that's my personal experience that I wanted to really bring up, or at least one of them.
Well, I got one that will appeal to Cody as well. It's another. It's actually a more direct slowing down in the process. So in the midst of the process. So when I was raised in McKinney, St. John's 51, one of the greatest lodges in North Texas, in my opinion, because they let me in.
We already know their standards are high.
Right? But it was a slim time back in the early 2000s.
It was a different time.
Poor brethren.
Yeah, it was no, actually, and that was one of the things, is that the lodge was always full. Always. There was always a lot of members present in our lodge in every event that we did. But what really stood out to me, and I still do my degree work the same. In fact, I'm doing a master's tomorrow night, and I will do the degree work the same, is that when I was received, the brother spoke very clearly so that the secretary would be able to hear him with his back turned to him, right? So he's facing the door, facing me, and he spoke loud enough and clear enough, concisely enough, and slowed down his words to where the secretary was able to completely understand him syllable by syllable throughout the entire process. And I think that that's very important when we're talking about ritual. If you know your ritual, you're not going to spout it off like you are, I don't know, in some kind of a speed talking contest. If you know your ritual, you're comfortable enough with slowing it down and really enunciating the words, and that way everybody has an opportunity to understand the words. And not just that, but how are we supposed to reflect on what those words are saying and meaning if it's rattled off too fast? And so that's one of the takeaways that I remember from and when I first walked in the door and didn't know exactly what to expect at all. But that expectation was set and received very well.
Hey, can we, Byron, I see your hands up, but we have a comment real quick I just want to touch on real fast.
Go for
I
it.
don't know if you remember, like a month ago.
We need to stop neglecting our guys online, that's for sure.
About a month ago, we had a gentleman come in here from Ireland. If you remember that, he was asking kind of the process. Well, he got accepted, and he's going to have his degree on January 12th. So that's very exciting. That's very cool. I would love to see an Irish EA myself. So
I know.
Yeah, that'd probably be really awesome. So congratulations to that.
Well, now you need to join the inner circle and talk
There
to
you
us
go.
about it.
I would love to. Yes, I would love to hear the differences. So congratulations. All right, Byron. Sorry about that. I just wanted to.
Congratulations.
Okay,
That's
so
awesome.
just to clarify, Dennis, in what you were speaking of, are you speaking of the senior deacon during your initiation?
Well, I'm talking about everyone in the degree was clear and concise and slow with what they're saying, so that everybody understood exactly what's being said and exactly what's being done.
Okay.
Everyone.
No, that's cool. I just wanted to make sure I had it in my head correctly what you were speaking of.
Yes, I was speaking of that, but I didn't want to just put that out there in the World Wide Web. But yes, that's what I was speaking of.
I would.
This is the inner circle, boys.
But
so
we're live.
We're live.
Yeah, I get it. We're live.
I would.
We're not giving away any secrets here, but let's make sure we're illustrating for the brethren who are listening what exactly it is that we are speaking about.
Let me piggyback on your point, Dennis, because you're absolutely right. Like, being slow and enunciating is really important. But something, and I learned this very recently when going through the Scottish Rite degrees, it's okay to really put a little flair into it. I'm not talking about being dramatic and you're trying to steal the show or anything, but really just, and really you could encourage this for everybody in the team, just really just, because it is a degree, it's a rite of passage, but it's also somewhat of a performance on our end to convey those messages and everything. And just like a play, if everybody just stands up there, even if they know their lines 100% and they are articulate, but they're just standing there, hands by their sides. And I know this is probably not like community on work kosher with them, but it's but when you're just standing there, hands by your sides, just repeating things verbatim, it doesn't have the same
impactful.
It's not as impactful, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me back to where I was going before. When you accept a role within a degree, if you are doing this just to say, hey, I did this during this degree, hey, great. If that's what your lodge is willing to accept, right on, do what you do, and it's all good. But if you want to make certain, and I really want to make sure I'm saying that clearly, if you want to make certain that you make the proper impact on the candidate for the degree, then you need to be certain that you are enunciating clearly, that you are giving every bit of effort that you can give to making that degree impactful. Mm-hmm. Because they are all three of them, impactful. They all have very distinct lessons. And if you just zip through it as quick as you can to get on to the next guy to speak so that you can jump back in at your spot and zip through it so the next guy can speak, well, that's not an optimal situation.
Well,
I feel like.
And that's
Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's with even the opening and closing. That's one of the things is that, you know, one of the reasons why our lodges feel like lodges is because we call them lodges and not temples like they deserve to be called. And and we don't put the importance on the ritual on even opening and closing and preparing our minds and consciences. And so the in fact, that rolls me into another lodge that I absolutely love. That I love what happens when they open lodge, and that is well, it's not that one. It's oh my gosh,
Well, what do they do?
Bratson's lodge. Dang it,
Whose lodge?
you've been there before, and well, it's Pete Norman's lodge.
Sol Ross or
Sol Ross.
yeah,
There
okay.
we go. Sol Ross. Yes.
I was going to use Sol Ross as an example. You watch out.
Yes, and so at Sol Ross, you know, you definitely know what your purpose is when you come into lodge, and then you also know what's happening when you're leaving the building, because you realize that, you know, the emphasis on what you're doing. I think that there's a lot to be said with that.
Absolutely. Brad, did you have your hand up?
He did.
Yeah, I was going to say what I've noticed the successful lodges that I've seen, you know, mainly when you go in, the officers of the lodge, all of them are working together to make things happen. You could tell, like, it's like a succinct
Continuity. Yes.
team. Everybody kind of, you feel like, I get the feeling that everybody knows what's going on. Like they know, like, how to greet people, how to make people feel comfortable, visitors, new people, EAs, whatever. Everybody just feels comfortable and has a good time because you tell that the officers are working together and they're making a show of it. You know, whenever they do their business, like you can tell they've pre-planned events and they've done things together before. Namely, like the winter solstice lodge that's coming up on the 19th at Hillcrest Lodge. It's midnight, opens at midnight. You know, they open the lodge at 10:30, have a toast, and then they open lodge in the dark at midnight when they got a grandfather clock. It strikes 12, bong, bong, and then it, like, they open lodge in the dark, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that you could tell that those guys, like, they know how to, like, put on a show and make you feel like that was great. That's one of my top 5 Masonic things I do every year. Something like that. That's really the feeling that I get whenever you got a successful lodge. The officers know what's going on.
Yeah, they do a great job as well. Even with the regular meetings, they do a great job, and I'm glad you brought them up, because they're an excellent lodge, and that's a reason. There's a reason for the solid membership that they have year after year after year. What you got, Brian?
I want to know where Hillcrest Lodge is located.
That's in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's
On the 21st, I got nothing going on as far as I know. I'm going.
well, be sure you use GPS because it's easy to miss.
It's a 19th.
Okay,
It's
the 19th.
Yeah,
All right.
because 21st is Sunday. So they're doing it on the 19th, Friday night, 10:30 p.m. Lodge
Meets
building
on a
over.
Friday night.
Yeah, just
Is
for
that
this.
is that their regular?
No, it's a
Meeting
called
night?
meeting. It's a
Okay.
called meeting.
No,
It's
yeah.
their solstice meeting. It's,
I'm
they do
yeah,
it
I'm
every
going. I'm going. Who's going with me besides Brad?
Well, I'm not going to a midnight lodge. I'm just.
Going. No,
But talking about doing
I would
things.
if I didn't have things going on already, that's for sure.
Talking about doing things right, as long as you're on the top of Hillcrest, doing a lodge room right, Hillcrest has it right. Like their lodge,
Yeah?
You'll see Byron. They have probably the most beautiful lodge room I've been in.
Well,
it's
and that's a good
Some
segue.
pretty spectacular lodge rooms. And can I segue into best practices here?
Well, I was going to segue into their lodge as far as
Oh, okay,
the-
go, Dennis,
and then
I'll
you
go
can
after
roll
you.
off of that.
Yeah.
Hillcrest is one of the most beautiful lodges there is on the inside. The they went in and completely restored it several years ago, and they invested about $250,000 on their lodge on the inside, and you can tell it was money well spent. And when you go in there, you feel like you're doing Freemasonry. You just can't help but to feel it with all the significant Masonic art and statues and different things that are going on within the lodge. Once you see the paint and the scheme inside the lodge, I mean, it's just absolutely magnificent. It really blows me away when it blew me away when I first walked through the door, and even going into the dining room and then going into the lodge. I mean, it just blew me away. And
even the building itself, dude. Because I hinted at, it's downtown, but
it's
it's
tucked
easy
away.
to miss.
Yeah.
It's tucked away, and
Like downtown Dallas?
not downtown,
Yeah.
not
Pretty much.
is it? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
But-
it's right near Love Field.
But GPS will tell you to turn. You're like,
It's
there's
in the
no way.
of Love Field.
Yeah, and it's like, there's no way this is right. This GPS must be wrong. And then you turn, and you're like, oh, okay.
I know. You're sitting here with all these houses around you. You're
Yeah.
looking up at these big houses, and then then you see just this one gate.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't a
all you
lodge.
see.
Yeah,
Right?
On Midway Road in Dallas.
I could tell you if the road.
No, it's not. It's not on that road. But
There's
it's,
also a
but it's-
Mohawk Road.
But it's right
No, it's-
close
Yeah,
to
that's in
there.
It
Ontario.
is Midway.
It is Midway. Okay.
Yeah,
It's right off of Midway.
it's on Midway. That's the address is Midway.
Okay.
Is it?
Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
1318.
That's it.
Oh, I was thinking
Got
of
it.
Midway up in Addison.
Yeah, it's Midway Road. Looks like. No,
Yeah,
you'll
it's,
have a good time, Byron.
Yeah, don't give the
You
address
better come with
online.
me. You got no excuse for not going because you're closer than I am.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not driving home at midnight. That's my excuse.
You don't have to drive home at midnight. You just got to get in my truck.
Okay,
I'll drive.
we'll see.
It'll be fun.
We'll
have
see.
a good time.
Dude, Justin doesn't stay up past
Yeah.
our show.
He's
Our
right.
show is as late as it goes for him.
He's right about
So
that.
I'll lay in a case of 5-hour energy drinks and he'll be good. Until, Monday when he crashes.
Mm-hmm. So what were you wanting to segue into on something that you've seen?
So actually I've seen a few things because it has been my distinct privilege to travel a little bit around this state. And I worked for, a year and a half down in the valley and got to go to Weslaco and Brownsville lodges.
Mm-hmm.
I also worked in Ingleside and got to go to Portland and Ingleside lodges. And then, my mother lodges are Brady and Campson Sabbath. And as DDGM, Mason or McCullough Lodge is, is part of my district. So I've gotten to experience some fun stuff in a whole bunch of different places in my experience anyway. And I want to hold up a couple of lodges. I want to hold up Brownsville, and I want to hold up Portland as best practices lodges. Um, Brownsville 81, Rio Grande Lodge 81 in Brownsville has a beautiful building. They are in what historically was the big courthouse.
The what? The what? You
The
froze.
county courthouse
Oh, cool.
for Hidalgo County. I believe it's Hidalgo County that encompasses Brownsville. Um, and their lodge room is easily one of the most beautiful I have ever seen. Period. Um, but one of their best practices that was shown to me by a couple of their past masters is the way they slow down the process for their initiates. Their initiates, when they get to petition, still spend at least 2 to 6 months just doing service work around the lodge, polishing, sweeping, cleaning, that kind of thing. Learning the service aspect of what it is to be a servant leader. And then they get to join the lodge. So, again, they have this beautiful building because they have brethren and prospective brethren who work together to keep that building in a beautiful state. All of the metal work is polished and pretty. All of the floors are clean. The library is nicely organized. The kitchen is, as it should be. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's clean. It's ready for anybody to walk into at any moment and start cooking for the lodge. But this happens because they take the time to illustrate to their petitioners. This is not something you just walk into and join. This is something you walk into, you serve, you join, you continue to serve. You move into the line, you continue to serve, you achieve, the Oriental chair, and you continue to serve. It's all about being that servant leader. It starts at the very beginning before they're ever initiated. And that, to me, I feel like is very powerful.
That reminds me of the like the old Shaolin temples where when you join, like the first thing you do is they put you to work polishing the floors and carrying water up the stairs, and before you even learn a lick of martial arts, to get, first of all, to condition you, but also get you that buy-in. Like, is this person really committed to this before we teach them anything at all?
Well, and if you really want to stretch it a little bit, what we're doing as Mason kind of is very much into martial arts, but we're not learning to fight with our feet, knees, fists, feet, hands, whatever. We're learning to do combat with our brains, to do combat with our souls, and to to find a way to fight through and become the best man that we can.
Mm-hmm.
And this does not come without struggle.
Yeah.
The other lodge that I wanted to hold up with best practices was Portland, 1411. Again, this was a lodge that I got to go to on a number of different occasions, and primarily what I went there was for the floor school. These guys, oh yeah, they have absolutely bought into the the ritual aspect of our work, and trying to make that ritual the very best that it can possibly be. So there's another aspect of how you create the great Mason is not through making sure he does the best green bean casserole possible.
Careful now.
It's-
Careful.
Yeah, I know. I'm speaking a little airy. But really and truly, we're not about trying to make the best green bean casserole on the world. What we are trying to do is create men who are going to be the leaders and men who are going to be worthy of becoming the leaders in tomorrow's society. We already have what we have today. All we can do is build for tomorrow.
It's true. Like that.
That's what I've got.
Well, thank you for sharing. Anyone else have something? I mean, I have more, but I want to give other people a chance to talk.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I got several things, but I'll try to kind of keep it short and sweet. That way we can give other people a chance to talk. But one of the things I was thinking of is we were talking about what Byron was talking about, having people do stuff before they come in. Is I think about Fort Worth for one. There's two lodges that come to mind. Fort Worth and their process. I believe it's 6 months, 6-month minimum before they even let you get a petition. And I think that's huge. If someone's just casually interested, most people aren't going to wait 6 months. Something else I think that is, I'm not suggesting this is a best practice. When I first heard of it, I thought it was kind of extreme, but it's not going to be popular with a lot of people. But I'm coming around to it. And it's going to sound terrible, but I'm coming around to it. When my granddad, when he first petitioned my local lodge, he and another gentleman petitioned at the same time, and they were both blackballed immediately. And the reasoning for that is that was practice. The first time anyone petitioned, they got blackballed. And the mentality was if they really want to be a Freemason, if it really is important to them, if they're really dedicated to it, they'll come back in a year and they'll petition again. And I thought that was really extreme, but I'm seeing.
Benefit in that thought, huh?
Has anyone ever seen anyone blackballed?
I have.
You have? You're the first person I know that has seen anyone get blackballed. Has anyone else?
I've seen 6 on one guy.
Wow.
And then
wow.
And then the next petition, I wasn't at the meeting. The next petition that came up, that guy got 8.
Wow. Are you in Texas? You're in Texas, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Wow. Well.
Same lodge, and the first guy was so truth be told, so guy turns in a petition, gets 6 black balls, sits out 3 years. During those 3 years, this other guy shows up and petitions, and he was actually a clandestine Mason. He figured out he joined the wrong club and got out and had been visiting and all that, done all the right things, got a petition, was very open about his clandestine experience and that he had, he was no longer a clandestine Mason. And then got 6 black balls, and then the guy serves his 3-year term, and his 3-year is suspension the right word? He serves the 3 years, puts the petition in back at the same lodge even after being quietly advised not to, and he gets like 8 black balls. So he's out 6 years.
Wow.
And he's never even and he's at the lodge. That lodge meets generally 4 times a month, at least once a week, and he's there at 90% of those meetings, doing just what you guys are talking about: sweeping the floor, cleaning the table, making sure that everybody's coffee's full, all that stuff. And it'll be 6 years before he gets to experience a degree.
Wow.
Politically motivated.
If he gets to.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he doesn't go back through that lodge, but it's a very political situation.
I was going to ask, maybe there's more going on than just that.
There's other grand jurisdictions that, that's common practice, that it can take years for you to be accepted, and you'll get blackballed several times, and then during that process, you are expected that if you plan on joining, you are expected to basically be their errand boy the entire time. And we're talking about a jurisdiction that where the dues are, half the wages of a man of a man's monthly salary, or the initiation fee is half the wages of a man's monthly salary, and the men that are allowed to join over there, those salaries are very high because they're all the leaders in government.
Where?
But
Sorry. Where are we talking
do
about?
what?
Where were you talking about?
I wasn't going to say the grand jurisdiction.
Oh, okay.
But just I'll tell you guys afterwards. Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
But I don't want to. But that's how serious they are about their Freemasonry, and they're not just going to let anybody in.
Yeah.
You will never see. You'll never see business casual in those lodges. Ever.
Well, the whole reason I'm even coming around to this is there's always a concern if you pitch that to a lodge and say, well, we won't get people. What about new EAs and things like that? But most of these lodges, I'll be clear, most lodges don't have a membership problem. If every member on their roster showed up for that lodge, there would be nowhere for them to sit. Like most lodges have more members than they even have seats. And I was looking at one of my lodges. They have 5 EAs right now that just aren't showing up. And so what is the rush to get more EAs in? There's a problem from if you take a corporate mentality, we're losing people right here. Right? If it was sales, you could be like, look, they're not following through right here. What is the problem right here? And so bringing in more people is not
where the problem is right there. If they're not following through, and it's not going to be the people who joined because they wanted to join for a reason.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But this is a show about positive reinforcement. Justin.
Yes, I didn't say anything negative. I'm just saying we need to.
But I think
as with all things, the shortest distance between the problem and a fix is about 6 inches here.
Yeah.
I would like to show you guys, y'all, real quick, one of the things that I think is one of the most beautiful things that I've seen in a lodge is that right there. We did that during my year in 2019. We redid the floors and redid windows, redid the walls, painted them, plastered, painted them. We did a lot of work, and it actually started in 2016. We started downstairs, and then we started building upon that in Goliad, and it is one of the most beautiful lodges in my opinion. It's a pretty simple lodge as far as the way that it's set up, but it's the oldest lodge building in continuous use in the state of Texas. It was established in 1854. It was built in 1854, and then when the roof was pulled off of it in 1902, during the construction process, we added on to it and extended the back half or the back quarter of the lodge, and put a new roof on it as well. So, but we never stopped meeting there, and so it's. I think that's just goes to show you that the lodge can be as special as you want it to be, but the membership needs to make that decision that they care enough about their home to keep it up.
Absolutely.
But I think because we're going through the same thing here in LaGrange, and we had one guy that was essentially the building committee for all time, and everything that needed to be done. Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. And we finally sat him down and said, you can't get to it because you've got a life outside of here, and we're all willing to help. And once, the theme of if everybody's pulling the wagon together, you can get a heck of a lot more done. And I think we're a living testament of that right now, which I'm grateful for.
LaGrange has a
But
cool lodge. I haven't been in it, but like the location, like when you drive into LaGrange, you see it. It's right there. It's really cool.
yeah, yeah. No, and
For
and
sure.
I I completely agree that the the ideal lodge, the officers have to work together, and um sometimes we don't appreciate what working together looks like, and it's easily manifested in a physical transformation of the building,
Mm.
as in Goliad. But I think that to be able to achieve that, there's a higher level of working together. um I wanted to add one thing about blackballs and petitions, and that while yes, it's negative for the individual, let's this may be a little bit different angle. Let's remember that if the petition is blackballed, the process is working, so that's a good thing. um Unless there's malice in what happens. So while it's a negative outcome, I like to think that, or I like to say that, the lodge is protecting herself, for whatever reason. We recently had a petition get blackballed at Lafayette, and it came as quite a surprise, but the lodge moved on. Um, so I don't think yes, it's a negative outcome, but it's not a negative for the lodge necessarily. Anyway,
You
I
know,
just wanted
you
to,
know,
I
I'd
wanted,
I'd like to build on that for just 1 second because we have a resolution this year that that's a carryover, and or no, this one's not a carryover. This is a an amendment to one that was done last year or the year before. And anyways, they're wanting to add, for charges or whatever beyond a reasonable doubt because it removes someone from Freemasonry for good, right? Or at least it really doesn't either, because at the end the decision can be made for the a suspension for so many years or whatever. I mean, there's different levels of handling any kind of Masonic charges, but I think that, like you're saying, if one member, and in Texas, of course, it's got to be three, but if three members feel like there's reasonable doubt to why this person should be coming in the first place, it doesn't have to be beyond a reasonable doubt. If they think, if in their mind they think for some reason that they think that this person shouldn't be in, then that's just protecting the integrity of the fraternity. And if someone has got questionable behavior to the point of it getting to the going through the process of getting to a Masonic trial, then I don't think there should be a beyond a reasonable doubt. I think that, obviously there's been a lot that's gone into it getting to that point. So if that's the case, then maybe you just need to see what happens, because if it is something that is marginal or whatever, we're Masons that are talking about a Mason, and everybody knows what's at stake. And I can assure you that if I were on a panel and I was looking at a situation and I thought, well, yeah, it's bad, but it's not so severe that the guy can't learn from it, I would choose to suspend as opposed to expel completely. And I know that there's other brothers that have that same mentality as me. And so I don't necessarily believe we have to have those words in there beyond a reasonable doubt.
Uh,
But
uh, uh,
but I I think it just goes right there along with, if you're going to blackball somebody, if you feel, if you have your spidey senses just feel off about this guy after talking with him, then you should do your duty and protect our fraternity first.
I'll just real quick.
I just blew up the internet on that.
I've never been wrong about my gut with a petitioner.
Right.
I've been wrong the other way a few times, but I've never been wrong about my gut for a petitioner. Not once.
I've been disappointed in myself before for not when I should have.
Yeah.
Hence the anonymity of the vote, right?
Exactly. That's why we're in that situation, and we do it the way we do it, so that we can, have a clear conscience and vote our conscience.
And the challenge, and Dennis, to your point, the challenge of quote beyond a reasonable doubt, especially when it comes to the interpretation of moral turpitude or moral behavior.
That's exactly right. Yes.
That doesn't work. That's not a thing. It's not black and white. It's one's own interpretation.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what we're taught in our degrees, is that we shouldn't live life by the letter of the law. We should be living in the intent of the law and being above reproach in that. Now, I'm not going to act like I'm some saint, guys, because Justin has saved my ass on many occasions with our podcast. He was the guy that protected me from
especially not too long ago, like a whole year. It was a whole year.
He was editing like mad. I mean, we just could not do an episode without him having to go to the drawing board.
Yeah.
It's like, time to make the donuts.
By the way, Brad has had his hand up twice now. I want to be sure he gets a chance to say something.
It's all right. I'm mostly listening, but
it's
I did
not
have
all right.
So basically, what I was thinking about is, when you get a new guy coming in, I usually ask the guy, "Why do you want to be a Mason?" And the answer that he gives usually is the answer that'll point me in the direction of saying, well, maybe you should go visit this lodge over here, because they're more focused on kind of what you're wanting to be a Mason for. Because every lodge is different. Some are fundraising lodges, some are fellowship lodges, some are educational lodges, and some are just, business meeting lodge. There's a guy that's coming in right now, and he basically was like, I said, why do you want to be a Mason? And he said, well, he goes, I've read quite a bit about Masonry already, and I know kind of a little bit about it, so I'm mainly focused on the educational piece of it. And I go, huh. I go, well, oddly enough, my lodge right now is like, we do education here. I do a Wednesday night study club, and not a lot of the lodges around me do any kind of education during lodge. Outside of like the lodge meetings, they don't do special education events, speaker meetings, nothing anywhere close. And so I was like, well, this might be the lodge for you, but I want you to keep coming back. Just keep coming up here for a couple of months, get to know, see the guys, and then we'll work on getting you in. And so, but I've found other guys that really want just fellowship, and they're coming to my lodge, and I'm like, well, my lodge doesn't really fellowship a whole lot, oddly enough. I was like, this may not be the lodge for you. He was like, no, I want to come here because it's closer. And then they come and they get initiated, and then they don't want to finish because they're not getting what they wanted. And I was like, well, I tried to freaking tell you, go to that other lodge, man.
Right.
And I don't know what else to say, So I would say that somebody that's doing that in a lodge is like trying to filter them to the right lodge room, even though it isn't your lodge. That's a good lodge.
I would add to what you're saying, because I get where you're coming from. Like, I get where people are coming from. This is the closest lodge, and this is another I don't know of a particular lodge that does this. I know there's some lodges that do something similar. Is on top of like 6 months or whatever, but there's also the degree fees aren't cheap. They shouldn't be, and so if you the point is, like, if you want to join this lodge, you need to be sure, like, you're willing to put the time in and put the money in. And if it's not what you're looking for, it's not because we didn't tell you otherwise, but your time, you invested time and money into this. Now you need to see it through, and instead of just not finding what you're looking for and walking away, like, if you want fellowship, I don't think fellowship and education are incompatible. Me personally, I do think if you want fellowship, you're supportive of the educational people, and the educational people need to be supportive of the fellowship. I think they can go. I mean, I've been to many table lodges where there's education and fellowship, so I know for a fact they're compatible. I don't think fish fries are compatible, but that's just me. Like, if you've put the time and the money in, like, if you're not finding what you're looking for, take ownership, man. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, and I think this is a perfect example of, like, the synthesis of these ideas coming together.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree with it.
With what?
I understand sending them to another lodge that is more about fellowship, but I don't think that that's going to make. I don't know.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you have an educational lodge and they're looking for... It really also depends on what kind of fellowship they're looking for. You know, if they just want to sit around and hee-haw and make fart jokes, yeah, you go somewhere else. But if...
I have a higher expectation. It's one thing...
Fart jokes are a big part of my lodges.
I have a higher expectation of the Masons that are coming in, though. You know, if that's all you're looking for is fellowship, I'm not interested in you being a Mason. That's not what Freemasonry is. Freemasonry is education, fellowship, and as well as, you know, we have some charitable aspects, but they shouldn't be the main concern of somebody coming in. There should be a certain interest in Freemasonry and not just those other things. You know, I'm sorry. That's why we're in the situation that we're in today.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I have a hard time disagreeing with that as well. In looking at where we have been and where we are now, it occurs to me that maybe a lot of where we are today results from the guys who joined back in the 40s, 50s, who, you know, are now kind of our elder statesmen, who joined up looking for the kind of camaraderie they had in Europe and in Korea and in France.
Yeah, they did.
And in doing that, though, in looking for that fellowship, they very much moved away from what we were at the turn of the 19th century.
Yes,
okay,
and that's
where
a fair
we were
statement.
more, you know, if you look at, okay, so I'm going to digress a little bit, and I'm probably going a little off track, but I want y'all to bear with me for a minute.
Yeah, we don't want to go too far because we're still trying to be positive.
Right. But if you look at fraternal societies in the late 1700s and through the 1800s, these were very much intellectual organizations. And as an example, I'm going to hold up the Royal Society of England and say that this is an area where Masonry was kind of born and maybe took some cues from. So where the Royal Society was about putting forth intellectual arguments onto various subjects, Masonry at that same time was about intellectual arguments and how do we work better as people together to achieve a greater outcome? How do we make a good man better. That was a thing in the 1800s. In the 1900s, it became about fellowship and service, and and being a viable member of your community, and that's maybe where, 100 years ago we kind of lost our vision. So how do you overcome that? Oh, good Lord. Yeah, that's a tricky proposition.
And to your point, like, that's what you're describing was described by like Mackey and Pike like 100 years ago.
Manly P. Hall.
Manly P. Hall, yeah.
Gould, and there's many of them that spoke on those subjects.
Right, but I haven't read any of those dudes. I don't know any of those guys.
I know you will.
I didn't sit in lodge with any of those dudes. So all I'm speaking from is personal experience.
Yeah.
And from what I have seen. I have some beautiful fellowship lodges. My mother lodge, Brady, is a great fellowship lodge. Camp San Saba is, without a doubt, my favorite lodge to attend. But neither of them are examples of what Masonry was prior to 1900.
Well, let's go into the fellowship aspect. So I think that they're in a lot of instances. Well, I won't talk about a lot of instances. Let's talk about what would benefit the lodge that I've seen. Some of the best instances that I've seen of real and good fellowship. Jeff and I attended a meeting last night that was awesome. And it was 3 different councils together that joined together for our Christmas dinner, as we always do, or that we have been doing for the last 3 years. And that is a perfect example of fellowship. We do some education, we do some, and then we discuss it, and among other things. But to me, that's the kind of fellowship we should be doing, and not just a quick dinner of stale pizza before a lodge meeting. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Sure. I'll say this while he's away. Kind of on topic with what you're saying, Byron. Like, Freemasonry hasn't really been at its roots for a long time. I wonder if we would even recognize like Freemasonry at its prime, because I think we've gotten so. I think society has gotten really soft. We'll just put it that way. And I think we're so afraid. And we live in that society. We are products of that society. And we are so afraid of disrupting peace and harmony today that if we were to look at prime Freemasonry, sure, there's a lot of education. I mean, you got like the likes of like Isaac Newton and stuff standing up there giving presentations and things like that. I have no doubt. But also, it's hard to get in. And it's easy to get kicked out. It's a privilege to be in there, and if you don't toe the line, because it's an honor group, and if you don't maintain that honor, if you don't follow the rules, I mean, even as if you look at minutes from like 100 years ago, if you have one of those lodges old enough, you look at the minutes, there was Masonic trials all the time. They were really strict about who they let in.
Yes.
Yes, and they were holding trials left and right. There's one lodge where the secretary, before he passed, he had like this old piece of minutes that he liked to share every time there was a visitor, where they had a trial where someone allegedly stole someone else's donkey. Right? It was. You talk bad about another Mason, trial. You steal something, trial. Drink a beer in public, trial.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is public drunkenness is one of the biggest ones that would happen. Is public drunkenness. And it was just, I saw this dude stumbling down the road, going home, and that's not what we are. That doesn't represent us well.
Yeah, I don't want to be drunk in public. I wanted to be drunk in there, and they kicked me out. So it's whose fault is it?
Moving forward.
There's when I was talking about a fellowship lodge, I'm talking about when you have your lodge meeting, maybe have dinner before, have the meeting, afterwards, everybody goes and hangs out, and there's one near us a lodge near us that every Monday night they have either their meeting or practice or whatever, and then they go over to this little pizza place and they have pizza and drinks or whatever, and they hang out. And it's like every week these guys are doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Our
that's
lodge doesn't do that.
and that's
My
the
lodge
culture in
said,
Goliad as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what I would like. Whenever I was saying somebody that wants that type of brotherhood, that friendship, brotherhood, friends they can hang out with, uh, yeah, I mean that would be
You
where I
know,
would try to point them to. And I'm not saying that we don't do that at all. I'm just saying that we don't do it as much.
right.
Uh,
Well,
so
and to piggyback on that, because it did make me think about Goliad, because after floor school every week, all the guys go to Jalisco's, have a drink, have some Mexican food, and fellowship. And then after lodge meetings, and anybody that's been to Goliad can attest to this, after lodge meetings, everybody goes to the pub next door and has a drink and hangs out for a little while before they go home.
man, am I interrupting you? I'm sorry. I just want to say, like Knob Creek in Temple, they have an Irish pub right across. And like every time they have an event, you go to the Irish pub after, and it's
Yeah.
fun, man. It really creates that
Guys at
community
home.
in the lodge. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of that pub?
I don't know. Irish pub.
The Irish pub,
Look up.
the only one
Look up
in
Knob.
that area.
Look up Knob Creek and look across the street. I'll be honest. Usually O'Malley's.
Irish pub.
Yeah. But
No, it was funny, and we'll talk. We can talk more about it after. But I was down in Temple the other night at a pub that had just a ridiculous selection of Irish whiskeys.
was it two-story? Did it have like a balcony?
Found myself stumbling out of an Irish pub.
It was a good time, boys. Let me tell you.
Yeah. One of my lodges that's in my district used to have. There was a brother. He's still alive, but he owned an Irish pub in town, and that's where we went after lodge. Is we went to his pub, and I'll tell you this to the credit, like it got closed down during the Irish of unspecified origin when that came through. But every brother that was initiated during that time, and we would take them with us. Hey, come hang out with us at the pub. Let's get to know each other. They all stuck around. They're still active Masons, and I mean we're talking about like 3 out of 3 during that time. So there's something to be said about that.
Next best practice, I would say, is one that I absolutely love that they also do at Hillcrest, which is you don't go to the lodge. The any potential does not visit the lodge prior to actual initiation. Not at all. In the only access they have to the membership is at a pub or wherever. They have a social event every month, and anybody who's interested, they have their availability online, and so or through its membership. So you're either interested online and they funnel you to wherever the next social meet is, or whoever a member is that that they funnel you to that social. You do not visit the lodge until and after you visited that social setting many times with the brothers, and they've all talked to you and decided that they're willing to give you a petition. And then, and only then, when you've paid your money and started that petition process, will you get to see the lodge. And that's only when you walk through that door. Once you knock, that's the time that you get to see the lodge.
And I really like that.
That, in my opinion, is probably the best case scenario of slowing it down and getting to know who's interested in your lodge and protecting your lodge. far beyond anything else that's done in Texas.
And I've seen something similar where they do like a meet and greet or something, but it's they have like an app. I think it's in Waco maybe. There's an app that it's not their app, but it's like an app where you can find local events or something, and they put it on there. I don't remember what it's called or anything, but like they like put it out there like, hey,
do
we're gonna
your
be
research, mister.
well, but like we're gonna be here at this pub or whatever at such and such date for like a meet and greet and questions and stuff, and that's kind of how they same mentality where they're not just bringing
Same
people into the
concept,
lodge, yeah.
Yeah, like
I like that.
when I was looking at, I got together with Brother Marshall from Waco 92,
Mhm.
and and looking at membership there, they have something every Tuesday night. So like first Tuesday is officers meeting, second Tuesday is lodge, third or fourth Tuesday I forget, but one of those two, they get together at Dichotomy downtown in Waco, and it's a coffee and whiskey bar. So you can get cool coffee drinks, you can get cool whiskey drinks, whatever, trips your trigger. But that's one of their, monthly gigs, is getting together down there and making themselves available to the general public and petitioners.
And that's good because
again, if we're going to talk about best practices, I feel like that's one that needs to be thrown out too.
in a place like that's ideal because then everybody drinks, right? So you're like, well, come have coffee.
It's just about
come get an Irish coffee.
No. But it's an opportunity to get to know the petitioner. It's an opportunity to get to put yourself out in public and show that we are who we proclaim ourselves to be,
mm-hmm.
and and to invite public interaction. And I like that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, same. I'll grab some more water. I'll be right back.
And I think if somebody enjoys drinking. Which I enjoy drinking. I just don't drink very much at all. I sip my scotch. I don't guzzle whiskey, and I don't shoot whiskey or tequila or anything like that. In fact, everyone I know, they sip their whiskey or their scotch or whatever they're drinking. We just don't partake like that. But that's a good way to tell what kind of person someone is. As if they, if they're a shots guy, or if they're a guzzler guy, if they're the guy that drops the shot into the beer and I don't even know what that's called. I'm just not that guy. Okay, I'm just not that guy. So the people I hang out with are not those guys. So that's a good atmosphere to say. Well, I believe you are. We can tell by your sideburns, But I think that's a good way to tell, what you've got in front of you, and you're also going to be able to identify certain characteristics of their nature once they do start taking it in, because that's when the eyes start roaming to whatever the hottest legs are in the room. Hopefully not mine, and that's when you're gonna.
Oh,
that's
come
when
on,
you're
baby!
gonna
You got beautiful legs. They're short, but they're beautiful.
I do. Bold and beautiful. But but that's when you're going to see how they treat people, not just you, but other people within the waitresses, the wait staff, the bartenders. That's how you're going to see how they treat people. And my biggest turnoff is when somebody starts slurring. I don't want to talk to them anymore. I can't have a conversation with somebody that's slurring to me. I know that they've gone too far, and I'm not interested in being in that situation. And so if I come across that, then I know that they can't manage themselves the way that I like to manage myself. So that would be a turnoff to me, and that would be a blackball if they got a petition. Right. So I think that's positive for the lodge of being able to gauge somebody's, because we're not rehabilitating. That's not our job. So I think that's a good way to gauge someone's character.
But one of the cardinal virtues that we espouse as Masons is temperance.
Yeah. And not that
And
we're all perfect, but it's definitely what we
and we're
work
not all
toward.
teetotalers, because that was a very, if you think back to the 19 teens and 20s, the temperance leagues were behind prohibition. But that's not where we are in the idea of temperance. The idea of temperance is being able to do whatever it is that you do within reasonable limits. And sorry, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I got one more. So, if you haven't ever been to Grand Lodge, which I know you guys have been, and for anybody listening, the way that the Grand Lodge does business with the committees have ironed out all the discussions, made the decisions, and brought it to Grand Lodge for a vote for acceptance. I really feel like when you go to a lodge and they're operating like that, the committee gives the report of what they decided, and everybody votes on it. I love that.
Yeah.
In a lodge setting, it makes the business just like quick. You're not having to listen. Oh well, why are doing all the deciding of what we're going to be doing in lodge? I feel like it's an incredible waste of time.
Well, that's the whole reason to have a committee, is so that you're not having these conversations
Exactly.
in the actual stated meeting itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And so that kind of goes along with, what I said originally is the officers of the lodge really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're together. They know they've got everything planned.
That's why,
They don't do it on the fly.
That's why you should have an agenda. There should be no surprises. They should know exactly.
Whoa. Pre-planning?
I know, right?
No, we'll not have it.
Crazy thought. I have one last thing. I have many more things, but I have one last thing I want to add tonight. Is that festive boards or educational conferences, and I have seen it done at several lodges. I've seen small ones. I've seen large ones, but there's always value to be had, and I think that's why we do the banquet. That's why we're having our banquet in January. That's why we have this inner circle. We have our own personal Zooms, and there are our little mini conferences we have. That's why we had the summit a few years ago. That's one of the reasons we had the summit a few years ago. And there's just huge amounts of value to be had in that. It's great to have education, and that should be the focus of every lodge. But having like a dedicated event where, like, hey, this is several hours, and we're going to have a whole lot of big speakers come in. We're going to have some great food, or even just a festive board, which isn't necessarily several hours, where you're just, hey, we're going to have great food, we're going to sit around, we're going to toast, there'll be education to be had. Yeah, it's still a couple of hours.
Yeah, at least. Sometimes 3.
I can't put my finger on why they are. I guess I can't put my finger on it. It feels like what Freemasonry is supposed to feel like. It feels like what I thought Freemasonry would be like, particularly the festive boards, and that's why. Well, even the inner circle. It's not a by the book festive board, but it is a festive board. We are dining. We are having education and conversations. The tables aren't set up like a festive board or anything, but we're having our own. We're having our own little mini festive boards at our tables, and it's phenomenal. And if you haven't been to one. Sol Ross does a great one. Waco used to do really good ones. I don't know if they're still. I haven't heard anything in a year or two from Waco, and Fort Worth has done a few. Keep an ear out, and if you hear there's a festive board in your area, go to it, man. They are really something else.
Also, Naval Lodge is now adding a festive board after every Master Mason's degree.
That is awesome.
And
really?
Yes, and we are. I'm actually charged with creating these events, and we're going to every year we're doing a 3-degree Master Masons Saturday, to where we're going to do courtesy degrees at our lodge and have three different completely separate degree teams come to the lodge to do these degrees. And that way, three different people can have three different teams that are fresh, and then also everyone who is there gets to witness good ritual. And included with that is a festive board for everybody, because when you think about it, you have a master's degree team, three of them, you're going to have 45 people there easy. And then and then any other spectators, it's going to be a full house, and it's going to create a meaningful event for those brothers being raised as masters. And so
are they all getting their own lecture, or is it one lecture for everybody?
Yes. No, they're all getting their own.
That's cool.
Well, I don't know. We may combine those, but the degree teams will be their own degree teams.
Nice.
And then the festive board will be joint with everybody, and really a good time, and an opportunity to have a little bit of education and discussion, contemplation. In fact, we're talking about doing the festive board on the Friday before, because the Saturday will be busy. The Saturday will be breakfast in the morning, breakfast tacos, and then everybody show up for the first degree, then do a second degree, and then have lunch, and then do the third degree, and everybody go home. But the Friday before, I think the theme that I want to do is a presentation and discussion on the fellowcraft before we go into the masters, so that we can drive home what the fellowcraft really means, and the lessons that it really deserves, and the discussion that it really deserves before we go into the masters.
I love that, dude.
Yeah, that's something that is brand new for OSO, because we had to stop doing the master's degree on the Lexington, and so because they just overshot us with the cost. When your lodge is supporting that function for the state, it's one thing to shell out $1,500. It's another thing to shell out $4,500 for the state to come enjoy a degree. And that's what we were doing every year. And so we decided to stop that and go into this and do this instead, because we have such a beautiful lodge with murals all over, and painted ceilings and all that, clouded canopy and all that kind of stuff. And people have never seen our lodge, yet they've been to the Lexington degree years and years in a row, and they've never seen our actual lodge. So we're going to turn that around and create a special event. So I think that that's a great way to create a good social and educational moment for your brethren, and create value beyond words in lodge for your members.
I think that's sick, dude. That's gonna be awesome.
And that's ultimately what it's all about, right? Is creating value for the members and on this thing that you care about the most. That's why we lose Mason. It's not there's not a whole lot of other reasons that trump the value card.
Absolutely.
It's
Well, what you got, Byron?
So I don't know if you have, already decided on your teams that are going to confer those degrees. But
we have not.
The Texas Ranger team, based out of Rising Star 429, I have seen in action, and
They would have to be all in dark suits.
Those guys are banging. I don't know about dark suits. That's something
They would have to be. That's a prerequisite.
They typically are all in
Texas flag shirt. I know.
No, it's not a Texas flag shirt. It's a khaki vest with a Ranger emblem.
Oh,
on the
okay,
breast.
yeah. There's another group that does the Texas flag shirts. Yeah.
Those guys, I have seen them in action, and wow, they put on a terrific degree.
Well, one of the degree teams will be ours at OSO. Another one in fact, I need to get with Mike and see if he can ask them. Well, actually, we got a member right here on the. I need to see if the Knights of Mecca would want to come down.
I was going to say Knights of Mecca. They wear suits.
We got one of the members right there.
There you go.
But they do it in costume and everything, and we have costumes as well at our lodge, and so we'll have them for the groups that come in. But I know the Knights of Mecca have their own, and y'all are probably very comfortable in wearing your own stuff. So. but yeah,
It's all very
Brad,
sweaty.
Brad, if you would, why don't you tickle the ear of CD and see what he thinks? Yeah, just give him a rundown of what I'm talking about. I haven't set the date yet because it's really a busy time. It's going to be after Grand Lodge because there's just so much going on now. But and I don't know that it's going to be in February either. It'll probably be in March. That way, it gives everybody time to get it planned and in their books and all that kind of stuff, because it's going to be a big deal, and it's going to take me some time. I hadn't finished setting up the lodge yet. We're changing the atmosphere of the lodge as well, which is another thing that we ought to talk about is the atmosphere of the lodge. I've seen lodges with more than just the pillars in one place. There's pillars throughout lodge buildings. There's like I said before, sculptures and paintings and stuff like that. Beautiful libraries in different lodges, and then like what I'm wanting to do is add candlesticks to ours, and so that we can have the proper position of the candlesticks. If you ever look in the monitor, they're in the proper position, but yet we have our little trifecta little lights that we turn on in our lodge rooms. But so I'm wanting to get the candlesticks, and then we're going to redo our lighting in our lodge to create accents that benefit all the murals that are throughout our lodge.
Yeah, we were talking about veils the other day, and I kept thinking of, I think it's San Marcos. I hadn't been there, but I know they have veils on the walls, and it's like that. There's something, and you see that
wall just about
in old pictures of lodge rooms too. They had that where it was just part of the decor. So instead of just cinder block walls, you have these veils against them, and it adds texture. It makes it look nice.
And it also allows for hidden rooms that you don't know about.
Dun dun dun!
Behind some of those veils is a secret door.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think they have a Bruno's banquet in March. I'm gonna try to go to that again.
Yeah, I need to make it there one day. It's on my bucket list to hit that lodge.
Which that's one of the people that'll come to our dinner on at Grand Lodge is John, and John Tolbert. That was his brainchild. All of that was his brainchild. He spent countless hours. When you walk into that place, it's a different experience. They have a pool table in their lodge for their membership. I mean, tell me that's not beneficial to, attract people in their spare time to just come up and hang out at lodge and socialize. Now that's some cool socializing that, most people don't think about. Having a sitting area for reading books and talking, talking Freemasonry. That's another way. Beautifying our lodge can never be a bad thing.
Agreed.
I'll give my final thoughts, and then I'm gonna get off of here pretty quick. I really feel like, everything that I've talked about talks about is mainly putting in work. If you want to be a Mason, it requires a little bit of labor, and you're going to have to put in some work to make it happen. And then coordinate with other guys and work with them. Put in the effort to make the experience worthwhile. And that's really all I wanted to say, man. Is just when I was the Worshipful Master, I didn't really have to put in a whole lot of work to make it a good year. I just put in a little bit of work. Every week I would sit down at the computer and do a couple hours worth of work of just preparing stuff, and it made for a great year. Um, and then one hour a week with you guys talking about how to be a good worship master. you know. So yeah, I mean, yeah, man, I appreciate you guys being there for me. I mean, y'all are my sounding board. When I was new, I didn't know what to do or how to do it. Y'all helped me through it. So thank you.
Our pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
And you did a great job as worship master.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to say, is that you put in the work, and you were very purposeful in what you were doing, and it was apparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
we appreciate you. You've contributed a shit ton to this show, and it just should go without saying that you're a valued member.
and we said before that you get a lot of worship masters and they're just ready to be done. Like, they're just ready to be done. Like, oh, that year sucked. It was the worst year ever. It was so much work. It's like, it was not a lot of work, and I had a great year. It's just, but I planned it. And I knew what was going to happen. I already looked at the law book based on what I knew what to expect. So, like, I already knew the law. It's probably why I'm so familiar with it now, is because I anticipated any objections or concerns. So I went ahead and looked before the meeting, and it was a great year. And that's basically what you did. That's why you weren't. You could either run the lodge or the lodge runs you, right? And if the lodge runs you, it will wear you out. It'll absolutely wear you out, because it's you against 100 other guys. But if you're running the lodge and you're on top of things, and you like, this is what we're doing this meeting, this is how this year is going to go, this is the agenda for the year. That's what you did, man. You crushed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to point out also, guys, this past week, Justin and I recorded our show on with Dave, with Super Dave. Our grandest administrator.
Super Dave Osborne.
At the Grand Lodge. Yes, he came on the show explaining what to see and do with Grand Lodge, and also scheduling your getting your hotel and all that kind of good stuff. It's a must see if you're planning on doing the Grand Annual Communication. But before Brad jumps off, I want you to look at that picture behind him, which is not a picture, it is a stained glass, and I want to challenge every one of our listeners to find that room. That is my sanctum sanctorum, and I visit it every year and do a little bit of meditation in our Grand Lodge session every year without fail. Even when there's freaking camera stuff in there, I will go in there and just spend a little time reflecting on that mural that's on that stained glass, and really take a moment to center myself. And so I want to challenge anybody that's going to Grand Lodge to look for that, and then take a picture of it and send it to us.
Yeah, and I'll speak again so it pops up.
There you go.
That is the best room in Grand Lodge, except for the auditorium itself. But that's the most beautiful lodge. That's the most beautiful room, I mean.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Brad. We appreciate you sharing that. It's always good to have you on here, man.
So maybe for our, last Sunday of January, everybody has that for our background.
There you go.
That'll
Nice.
be fun.
Yes.
I'm gonna jump on and do my final thoughts if you guys don't have a problem with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Jeff.
Best practices, slowing down the process. We've discussed this many times. Adding fellowship, again, this is something that we have discussed many times. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this one out there too. Have a mission. Or maybe have a mission is the wrong phrase.
No, that's a good phrase.
tailor your experience to your initiate. So if your initiate is looking for A and you don't offer A, direct him to a lodge that does. If your initiate's looking for B and B is what you do, absolutely bring your initiate into your lodge. If he's looking for C, send him over that other direction to find Lodge C. But, best practices are going to be what make our initiates, A, feel included, B, feel worthwhile, and C, feel like they're listened to. That's all I got.
Absolutely. Jeff, what you got, bud?
Yeah, so I think, drawing on my own experience in my term as worship master this year, we started with some pretty tactical things, and now that's kind of allowing us to do things that we want to do. I think the big thing that I've learned from I don't know how many of you know Jerry Eiserhart. He's the district deputy over towards Luling and Gonzales that way this year, but he's a big fan of agenda meetings. We've started having agenda meetings, and it's cut our stated meeting times in half, if not even more so. And we're still getting my first, just as an example, my first meeting as worshipful master, everything that we couldn't get pushed through the lodge, we got pushed through because we talked about it at an agenda meeting. So we raised the dues, we raised the degree fees, we raised the endowment at the election. But all these little ticky-tack things, get their lodge room cleaned up. Now we're starting to look for speakers. Brother Newberry was in this month and gave a nice chat. I've got a guy lined up for January. So now the heavy lifting is done, and now we're busy making Masons. And the other thing that I think helps is encouraging the participation of the family. So we don't have an Eastern Star, and I know a lot of lodges don't. But it's not unusual for us to have between 25 and 30 people for dinner. And then not quite half of that goes upstairs to the meeting. So spouses and kids at our stated meeting dinner. And I think that brings us together in the way that we don't appreciate, especially with the new Masons, the guys that have just been raised in the last year or so. They're bringing their significant others and their children. Well, they're forming their own community. So that's been interesting to watch as they grow and learn. And I don't like that people say that somebody's not ready to ascend to an office because that's a lot of work for them to learn. Quite frankly, opening and closing any of our 3 lodges, that shouldn't be the milestone to achieve that office.
Agreed.
Anyway, that's but anyway, yeah, I like what we've said here. But I think about it like a business, right? We got to take care of what we have to. We've got to make sure we execute those, as seamlessly as possible. All right, we got the lodge room refreshed. Well, now let's go enjoy ourselves. And what can we do outside of that? Which is then that education and some of that fellowship. Because for us, we're a small rural lodge. We don't have the luxury of being able to say, oh, you know what? Hey, why don't you go over there? Because you know what? If you go over there, well, they only meet quarterly, and we're not sure when they meet. And you're probably not going to be able to petition over there because they don't let people petition over there. So we've got some nuances. So we need to be a little bit of everything, right? A little Swiss Army knife. And I think we work hard at that, but it's through teamwork. So with that, I'll stop talking.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. I'll just say, man, I had a whole thing in mind, and then I totally just brain farted. So I'll just leave it with this. This is not by any means a complete list of best practices. Like we have some. This would be worth revisiting sometime. But this was a great session tonight, and talking about the festive boards and everything. like I said, we will be hosting a Inner Circle banquet during Grand Lodge on the 15th. And so those of you that
It's
are...
a dinner, not a banquet.
Dinner, sorry. A Inner Circle dinner during
We can
Grand
call
Lodge.
it a banquet, I guess.
But it just sounds fancy when you say banquet, but whatever. But if you're...
Sounds tawty. But it is, so you
But
might
suits,
as well
it's not tawny, but suits only. Yeah. No.
exactly right. You better call it that anyway. So
Yeah, but so it's available to members of our Inner Circle and brothers that are vouched for. And since we've actually had quite a few new Inner Circle members since we've been talking about, so I think there's definitely value in plugging it right now. If you're not a member of the Inner Circle, consider it. Like, we didn't do it live last Sunday. We did an Inner Circle Zoom, and we have our book club. We're going
we have
over
a book club next week, as a matter of fact. So you guys need to read your second chapter.
Yeah, Esoterica. And so we got that going on, and there's the dinner, and
if you're new, then go ahead and skim over the first chapter and get ready for the second.
yeah, jump in. We did the preface in chapter 1 last time, didn't we? And that's, I mean, and Inner Circle has all that stuff. Like, it has, even if you missed it, you have access to it on YouTube, and it's all ad free. So the book club, all of our Zoom meetings that are just Inner Circle, and all of our content. And usually, what I'll do is not only is it ad free, but it's a lot of the cut stuff ends up with Inner Circle also. Like, I cut out the stuff we got to, right? But a lot of the fluff that doesn't necessarily...
Dennis isn't going to Masonic jail. But
Yeah.
you'll definitely hear what my thoughts are.
Yeah. I still save Dennis, but you hear a lot more uncut thoughts too. So
Whenever you see Dennis go, and then it's in a different show, yeah, you know that.
yes.
It
So
runs
definitely.
the wrong way.
So if you're not a member of the Inner Circle, I strongly encourage it. The value is there. Honestly, it's like you'll hear these guys. They'll talk about how they come on once a week and they get their fix, their Freemasonry fix, because they're not getting it at their lodge. So if you're not getting it at your lodge, if you just don't give up on Freemasonry, just come to the Inner Circle. Right, we'll help you. We'll help you find your people, and it's usually us. So we'll be glad to have you here.
Man.
But other,
It's fair.
I mean, it's not wrong, is it? But other than that, man, I was going to say something else, and I just cannot grasp it. So I guess that's just the universe telling me to shut up. So thanks again, everybody, for coming on. As always, it was a great talk.
Yeah, I think that was great stuff. So I would like to say that, with Freemasonry, the very first thing is education. And I've always said it requires book time and travel time. We educate ourselves as well through our brethren. Many of the things that I discuss personally, I have personally seen. And so, well, I think everything that I talked about tonight, I have personally seen, and I know it works, and that's why I speak on it. But it does start with education, and it ends with education. Actually, it starts with education and it ends with contemplation. Because if we're not doing that, are we really trying to change that inner spirit, or that inner are we really shaping out the conceptual understanding or trust with the God? I mean, the understanding or trust. And Jeff and I had that discussion yesterday, and that's why I said that, because I do see what your point was now, Jeff, and I like it. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the social aspect, because that's how we learn from each other. We build those bonds and we build that trust with each other to where we can have the harder conversations, because you think light of the social aspect of things, but in reality, it's through those situations that you realize that when somebody says something that you don't agree with, you realize it's not from a bad place. Because you understand them as a human, or as the woke people like to say, you see them. All the millennials and the woke people,
That's
I
my
see you.
truth.
I see you. I see your truth. Yeah. Now that I've caused a big stir at the end of the show, now everybody's gonna, blank out right now. But in reality, that's the truth of the matter, though, is because once you have those bonds, then you're a little bit more likely to listen to somebody a little bit longer, because you know that their heart's in the right place, and so it's easier to accept the concepts that they put forward, and it also allows you to think about those, because you know that it's coming from a good place. It's not a place of malice. um so there is something to be said about the social aspect of it. um there was a I love that pocket knife, the Swiss Army knife analogy that Jeff gave. And the very first show that Justin and I did together, he interviewed me, and we talked about the well-rounded lodge. And we've talked in depth about all the different things, and there's 5 different things that it really takes to have a well-rounded lodge. And it's not that those are the key things that your lodge focuses on. You don't focus on every bit of it, no, because every lodge has their own culture, their own mission statement, but they have their own culture. But you should have a little bit of all of it in your lodge so that people can relate. That way you don't start losing people when they walk in the door. But you do need to focus on a couple of different things, like education and ritual, and purposeful living. I'm a firm believer in this thing called manifested destiny. I don't think that things happen by chance. I think that it happens through prayer and meditation. And no matter what religion you're in, I believe that positive energy comes to you and through you. And the things that happen in your life happen because of the manifestation that occurs because of your own actions or inactions. So we can be successful together or we can fail together, but it's together, just like a marriage. You can be successful together or you can fail together, but it's together, and it's going to happen one way or the other. So that being said, I think I love this show, and man, I love all you brothers that are here on the inner circle. And Jeff, I know you just jumped in recently, but I hope you come to the uh, book club. Did you just blow me hearts, Brad? It looked like you blew me hearts, but that's funny.
Wow, I didn't know you could do that.
You guys, that's cool. But these guys sending me little love gestures,
Oh, that was to Brad.
sweet nothings. But even if you don't have the book, Esoterica by Albert Pike, then you can still jump on the show and listen to what all we have to say, and have your own thoughts on the topics, without a doubt. Because that, to be honest with you, most of my best learning came from just hashing it out with other brothers. And there have been times well, in fact, most of the time, like when I go to Grand Lodge, I'm hanging out with a few select brothers that I wait to see every year at Grand Lodge, and we get together and we hunker down in one of the rooms, and we drink and talk Freemasonry. And we typically do not have a topic of conversation, but man, it lasts for hours, and we just talk esoteric minded stuff. So that's what you get when you're part of the inner circle. But I think that as you've all said, the reason we created this is for all those brothers that feel like they're kind of on an island, out there with their Freemasonry, because we're a lot of us are members of these little rural lodges that just aren't, they have a different way of thinking about the Freemasonry, and that's okay. They've been around for many years, and hopefully they'll be around for many more years. And we can be that pillar of wisdom that comes from applying ourselves and being purposeful in our Masonic education and trying to be the best Freemasons we can be. So, you guys are on the island with me, and I appreciate it. That way, I don't have to have a volleyball with a face painted on it. I'm grateful to you, and I look forward to next week. And you guys have a great week. Keep it between the points.